Hello, I'm Reena Annabelle, aka Mummy Imperfect, and you're listening to the Sisterhood of Mummy Imperfect, the podcast where each and every week I explore the wonderful world of womanhood. With the help of my fabulous guests, I take a deep dive into topics that range from secrets of successful women, period positive education, fitness and well-being for women, and love and relationships. So this Sunday is Mother's Day in the UK. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about motherhood, the highs, the lows, the lessons we've learned, the kind of mum we thought we were going to be versus the kind of mums that we actually in reality are. So joining me in this episode to discuss all that and more are journalist and founder of celebrity PR company Sahdev Media, Nisha Sahdev, and award-winning media professional, founder of Ikonz magazine, Reena Combo Kainth. Hey ladies, how's it going?
Hi.
So, hi, it's so
Hi.
nice to have you
It's
on.
ironic because me and Nisha have known each other for years and we never get to see each other, and now we're seeing each other on screen.
After what, 10, 15 years or something?
Well,
More
I'm
than
glad.
that. More than that.
Yeah, probably more than that. I know.
So you haven't seen each other for that long?
No, we've been in touch
Probably.
on WhatsApp. I think the
Actually, it's
last
probably
time.
been about 10 or 15, about 10, 15 years, and we've probably known each other for about 20 years.
Oh my God!
I
yes,
started
the
in
Ikonz
media when I was
building in
21.
Birmingham.
So
Yeah,
I
I'm a
started in
little bit
media and I'm
younger.
41 now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah,
Crazy.
do the math. It's 20 years. Oh my God, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm happy that I could bring you together on here, which is really good. So listen, I'm so happy, like I said, that we can do this, and little ones are asleep or otherwise engaged. So let's see what happens. Hopefully, it all runs smoothly. Okay, so Nisha, you are a mum of two. So remind me, how old are your little ones again?
So Jasmine's 4. She's going to be 5 in June, and Yuvraj is going to be 2 in May. So
Right. Okay. And Reena, so you are the mum of a 1-year-old, right?
He's 16 months already. I cannot believe it. But yeah.
Wow. Okay. God, it's going quick. And when I just introduced you there, I was like, wow, you know what? These ladies, they're like badass boss ladies. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you guys have done a lot. In the world of media, you have achieved a lot, and you still are as well. How do you balance it now with being mums? Because your kids are quite small as well.
is that
Go
to
on,
me?
Nisha, I'll let you go first.
Yeah.
I think it's being organised. It is absolutely manic. Like if you see that crazy woman driving down the M69, girl, that's me. Like it's, drop the kids off to school, drop them off to nursery, then get into the office, and then you like rushing to get back. But it's a lot of organisation and it's a lot of routine. Like I've always been really strict with a routine with Jasmine, and Yuvraj has kind of fallen into that routine as well because the older one already had it. Like my kids are asleep; they're upstairs by 6:30, 7 o'clock. They're in bed. And that's them done for the day, and then I can carry on with other stuff because I have, after my full-time job, I then have media stuff like my PR work I have to do, or I have to ring a client in Canada, or I need to phone somebody or write a press release or speak to an artist and get their background to do like a press pack. So I need to do all that after 7, but in that I need to still get the food ready for the day after, or get dinner ready for my husband when he's back. And then my husband has his business, so I do a lot of the admin, like account stuff for that. So it is literally organisation and just having everything, what you've got to do for that day, and having your day planned. And I think my kids benefit from that as well.
Reena, what about you? How do you manage it all? Because obviously, Nisha, that is like proper organised to a T. So cool.
Nisha, superwoman, honestly. Obviously, I'm going to learn off Nisha because she's got a bit more experience than I have. So I am just finding that. So I've gone through the whole, I've just gone back to work. So my full-time job, I work at a college. I'm a director there. So that is my full-time job, although I've gone back 3 days a week. I went back at the end of October, 3 days a week. And I have found it really hard. I'm not going to lie. The initial few months, even though it was just 3 days a week, it was just planning for those 3 days. And then the 2 of those days that I'm at work, he goes to a childminder. So I have to make sure everything is prepped the night before for me, to his bag, his clothes, my clothes, everything, that food, just everything is sorted. So, because in the morning, it's a massive rush to drop him off at 7:45 there and then get myself to work for 8:30. And that I found really difficult. And some days are hard, but like Nisha said, it's having the routine and being organized. So if I'm organized and I haven't, so like if I know I've got work in the morning, I'm reluctant to go out the evening before, or do anything or have anyone over, because I want to make sure I've got everything ready. And if I've been out, I'm in a mad panic. And my husband's like, chill, relax, because men are just so laid back about these things. But being organized is so important. My media side has taken a real backseat since I've had Milan, and it will pick back up once things are a little bit better. At the moment, he's at that age where he needs undivided attention, 24 hours and more attention. So he is more than a full-time job in itself. But once he's a little bit older and I've got into a balance, and Nisha, you probably know this yourself as well, it's hard at this stage, especially when they're finding their feet and they're crawling everywhere and just, well, not crawling, he's running now, walking and climbing and everything else that he can do. So it's hard. So I do want to get back into the media side of things, but at the moment, the priority is just being mummy and going to work and making sure he's settled with his childminder and things like that.
And I think that's the really like a fair comment. Like, it does take a backseat. I know when I had Jasmine, a lot of people, like when I did the Sisterhood concert, they're like, "Oh, you're back," and I'm like, "I didn't go anywhere." Yeah, it's like I'm still there. I'm still working. If I'm not going to every event or I'm not going to every party, because my child comes first now, but I'm still working. I'm still servicing music. I'm still working with the media. I'm still working for the BBC. And they're like, "Oh, well, we just thought because now you've got kids, like, you've given up." I'm like, I haven't given up. So people just assume that you're a mum and you're not in this industry anymore. So many times I pop posts on my Facebook saying, I'm still here. I'm still working with the big names. It's just you won't see me flashing selfies because I'm tired all the time and I'm not out because I have to raise a child. And now I've got two. And it does get easier. But it's really sad that we've got that misconception that because now you're a mom, you're not working in the media, like you must have a job somewhere, and you're just busy at home. And it's like, we can do it all. It's just about planning it, and we're not going anywhere.
Well, I mean, this whole thing of doing it all, I'm going to come back to that, because I think that's a really important thing to think about, like, to be honest about, can we have it all, right? And I don't know, I will come on to that later, but I will just say that, like, listening to you talk and this whole thing of like, oh, are you not in this anymore? You're just a mom, like just a mom. Now, first of all, just a mom is like a million things and the most difficult job role that anyone's ever going to have, right? So it's much more than being just a mom. I really annoys me when people say that, "Oh, you're just a mom." That's like, come on, you don't even know the half of it, right? But also it's like that pressure that we put on ourselves as well, that we want to keep on top of our goals as well. And it is a lot of pressure, because at the end of the day, we feel like being a mom is not enough. And especially like when we've taken time to build our career, like, how do you internally, how did you kind of like, I don't know, balance that in yourself? Like, I've taken this time to build my career, I've got to take a backseat. And how did you feel about it?
I've really experienced that, because obviously I've become a mum quite late in life. I had Milan just before I turned 41 now. So for me, it was really hard trying to balance it in my brain, because I'm at the peak of my career. I'm a director of a college. It's a very demanding job. It shouldn't be possible to do it in 3 days a week, because it's a full-time job. And that's one of the things, but my employers have been really, really like supportive, but I know eventually they want me back full-time. So I'm at the peak of my career on that side, and then I've just become a mum, and that is so important to me, and I want to be there for my son all the time. So that, in my brain, that's been balancing the two has been hard. And that's where the mum guilt versus work guilt comes in, because the days I'm not working, I'm still checking my emails and I'm thinking I'm not there for my team. I feel bad for the managers who just work like slightly under me, and I'm thinking they need me, and they're probably thinking Reena's throwing all her work at me, but they're not thinking all these things. Well, they could be, I don't know, but I hope they're not thinking these things. And then when I'm at work, I'm checking his care diary from the childminder constantly. Is he okay? Has he eaten? Has he slept? And that is hard. And you can have it all, but in here, it never goes away, because you're always balancing it and you're trying to do the best you can. And I think, like you said, we're not just mums. We're everything that packages around us being a woman and a mum.
I mean,
and a wife.
Exactly. And there's a million job roles that you're doing, right? Which is, as in, not your actual job that someone's paying you to do, but this whole mum, wife, daughter-in-law, and all this kind of stuff. There's a million job roles within that, and the organization of that is more than you'd ever do at work, right? It's crazy.
100%.
But this, I feel like, I don't know about you, but I've recently been thinking, like, in the Western world, I feel like there is this thing of like, have your kid, quick, go back to work. And that's what you feel like you're supposed to be doing, you know? And even when you're like, oh, I'm taking some time out to look after my kid, like you said, Nisha, people are like, oh, right, okay. So that means you're done, you've given up. And and it's like, I feel like we are allowed to take time to be with our kid. You know, it doesn't mean that we don't care about our career anymore or work or anything like that. But I really do feel there's this thing which I think with more and more I'm looking at it. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but have your kid, get back to work, put your kid in the childcare system. So then those people are being employed, we're paying taxes, you're still paying taxes. Do you know what I mean? I'm suddenly starting to realize this is what it's about. And yes, we have aspirations, but I don't know. Do you agree with me, or do you think, like, where do you kind of stand on that?
See, I battled a lot after having Jasmine. My lifestyle before kids was media. I was living in London. I stayed in Dubai for a very long time. I was there. Like, you rang me and said, there's an event in Dubai, Nisha. This is before my marriage and my kids. And it was like, there's an event, there's an opportunity to do this, or you can PR this company. I was there. I was on that next flight. And I'd say to, like, my dad knew me. So I was like, Dad, I'm going to go to Dubai in the morning. Can you card an eye out? This is the event. Okay, then. And I was packed and gone. And now I've got Jasmine and I'm at home with this thing by myself. And it was like, and I was working out 6 days a week. So gym was a massive part of my life, where I was in the gym for 2 hours a day. I was free as a bird. And then I've got this baby and I was like, what do I do? Like, how do I get out? Like, how can I just go for my nails, my coffee? When am I going to go to the gym? Anybody ringing me like, Nisha, there's an event in Dubai. I'm like, put the phone down. Like, I'm not going to, I'm not even going to Sainsbury's right now. Like, I am not going to get anywhere. It was a real battle. And I'd speak to my husband, I'd say, I'm not built just to sit at home and look after a baby. Like, and I felt really bad saying that. Like, this is when I first had Jasmine, and motherhood was really new to me. And he was like, you'll go to work, like, let her get older, we'll put him in the child. So she was 6 weeks when I did my 1 day back on the news desk, just for my mental sanity. And my mother-in-law, my father-in-law were here, and my editor rang and he's like, oh, like, do you want to come back? They obviously didn't know where I was with the baby and how old it was. And I said to my mother-in-law, can I just go back to work for 1 day? And she was like, yeah. And I said to G, I said, I'm going to go. And he was like, yeah, go. Like, as long as you're comfortable. And I went into it and I just loved it. I felt like me again. Is that really odd? Like, you feel like you when you go to work?
It's not
because
odd.
That was my time.
It can feel like you, I think. It's like you just... you're yourself, you're using your brain again, you're not thinking about nappies or feeds or schedules, and
you work so hard for it, right? Like 20 years we've known each other, Reena. I've seen you work hard. We've all grown, Reena. I've worked with Reena in the BBC, and I've worked with you outside.
Same.
I've seen, I've seen you all grow, and we've worked so hard for this. So when you become a mum, it's so you find yourself. I think it's like we're making it up as we go along. So I think now, after 2 kids, I've made that decision, and I know, like, I'm not a good stay-at-home mom. I need to be a little bit more active. I need to get out. I need to speak to people. And my kids do as well. They're very social. Like, we're always out, like coffee, park, play dates. So for me, that's my balance. Like, I'm a very organised and OCD in particular mom, but then I also need that little balance, which gives my mental, like, my mental challenge. Like, I don't want to just be sitting at home with the kids all the time. That's how I balance it.
I think we're pretty much the same, because we waited so long to have him, so we experienced lots of holidays and going out and about, and very sociable couple. And when I first had Milan and I was upstairs, I remember at one point I was upstairs and I was holding him, and Ranj had gone out with his friends, like wet the baby's head. He did that for a long time, and wet the baby's head. And I was really resentful that he was going out, he was having a drink, he was having a good time and seeing other adults, and I'm upstairs with my baby, who I absolutely adore, but I want to be out, I want to do something, I want to see another human being, an adult that I can talk to. And there's been some of that not recently, probably a couple of months ago. I think I was really stressed out, tired from work. Milan's been really poorly and it was hard. And he was still going to the gym after work. He was going to gym with a friend, and then they'd go for a coffee or they'd go for a burger or something. And when he came back, I just wanted to go because I was so angry at him, but not because he's done anything to me. It was more, I was feeling resentful because I felt like I'm either going to work or I'm stuck at home with Milan. And because he's been so poorly, can't take him out. So I'm seeing no other adult. I've got no real family and friends really close by where they pop over for coffee or anything like that. So I don't see anyone. So I think I was just going through a really bad place at that time. But then now, because I opened up to him, so now he's on the days he's off and I'm at home, I've only just recently started going for a run again, started going to the gym again. So doing things that I used to do before and trying to fit them in. And he's very good with Milan, but he takes over now. It's like, right, you do what you need to do here. I've got him. But it's hard. It is really hard because you do feel like you become a mum and you think it's going to be all fairy tale, and parts of it is, but actually you lose yourself for a bit.
Yeah, we've all been there, hun. Don't worry. I've literally seen my husband have a nap in the day before and looked at him and actually felt jealous of him. I was like, oh my, what? He's having a nap? Like, excuse me?
Yeah.
Like, I've been up a night, Pete. What are you having a nap for? Like, you know, you do think these things. You do think these things. But yeah, I totally understand. And that whole thing of like taking so many years to build up your career and then it's difficult. I've actually had an experience of like, you know, when you get FOMO, like, you know, I remember once I was doing an evening workout after having my third child. And because I was like really, you know, when you're feeling like, oh my God, I'm so out of shape and I just don't like the way I look and feel and all this kind of stuff. So I was really trying to kind of get back into shape. And then I think on Facebook or somewhere, I saw this, everybody else who I worked with was at this office party. And I was kind of like, number one, you didn't invite me. And I'm technically still on maternity leave, so I'm still employed. I'm still part of the team technically, right? And oh my God, I'm just sitting here feeling like a fat frump at home, like don't see anybody. And everyone's having such a great time. And, you know, I've stepped away from this world. And, you know, I did get a little bit of like, oh, you know, this is a blessing to have all of this because I wanted it. But you do feel like, oh man, like what happened to me? It's difficult.
And then you feel like you didn't matter.
Yeah. And it's but does it feel like you're older? It's like we're constantly trying to find the old us again, but we're never going to be the old old Reena or the old Nisha, you know, in like Hammersmith or wherever we were like gigging and partying. It's like, that's not going to be us now. Like, even if I had a choice of someone saying to me, let's go out clubbing or go to a bungalow gig, I'd be like, I want to go to bed. Yeah, I haven't got the energy.
If anyone invites me out post 6 p.m, there's so much thought process in that because I'm thinking,
oh my God,
I have to get ready. I have to make myself look presentable. I have to find something to wear. Oh, you know what? I'm going to be so tired. I talked myself out of it before I've even answered them. I went out on Saturday night to an award ceremony and it was first evening out after ages and I had to get dressed up, just waiting all day for me to leave at 5 p.m. By the time I got in the taxi at 5 p.m, I wanted to go to sleep. I wanted to have a nap.
Yeah. I mean, I've been there. And for me, because I've got 3, it's like some military operation to kind of get everything ready and everyone sorted before I get out the door.
Yeah.
So you know, you feel like you've done some military operation already before you go to this event. Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Do you get mum guilt when you go out, when you do stuff, which is
all the time?
I very rarely have started doing a lot of. I've only just started doing things without Milan, to be honest. We've probably had a couple of occasions where we've gone out without him. He literally is our shadow. He goes everywhere with me and my husband, and I have only just started doing stuff without him and seeing friends and things like that. But yeah, I do get that mum guilt, but it's not kicked in as much yet. I get more mum guilt when I'm at work and I'm thinking, oh my God, I've left him with the childminder. That's more so, but I think because he's so small, I haven't really done a lot without him yet.
Yeah.
Shall I tell you guys? I have not been on a dinner date with a girl for 4 years.
Really?
Wow.
So since you had the kids?
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like you would like to go or not, or what? What is it? Mum guilt? What's stopping you?
It's myself. So it's not my husband. He's brilliant with the kids. You know, he's really good. I think it's just myself. I'm just like, again, like Reena said, it's all that planning. Like, I'll have to get them in bed, then I'll have to feed them, then I'll have to get, you know, if I get late or if I have a drink and I'm tired and then I don't get the milk ready by the time I get home because Yuvi's still on night feed still. And And then by the time you've thought, you think, forget it. I'll just take them all. I'll just eat. I had a book launch last week in London, so it was in Soho, and I said to my husband, like, either I'm going to go by myself. This is going to be my day with my best friend. I called her. She's like, yeah. I'm with you. I'm there. I'm going to meet you in central London. And then she said, oh, she can't make it for whatever reason. It was a really valid reason. So I said, fine. And I said, do you want to all come with me? Because what am I going to do by myself in central London? So the whole number came with me to central London again. And then I met one of my best friends. So it was nice. But I feel like I actually, deep down inside, enjoy being with all of them.
Yeah.
So weird. Like, I wouldn't know what to do without them, unless it was like me and my girlfriend having a coffee. Like, I do coffees like when the kids are at school, but dinner, I just feel like it's such a long process, and it will ruin their routine. Because
I've not done that yet. I think let's plan it. Let's plan it, Nisha. Let's do it. I've not done that yet.
Should we do a London day?
Let's plan it.
Shall we do a London day?
I've not been out in the evening without him. I think I've been for one afternoon tea, and I can't think of anything else. I've been out with Ranj a couple of times, not a lot of times, because he's actually worse than me. If we're going somewhere and I'll say, oh, should we leave him with mum, with my mother-in-law? And he'd be like, no, let's just take him with us. So he actually wants to take him everywhere.
Yeah. I mean,
but in my head, I'm thinking it's not you who's then panicking or feeding him or cleaning up his sick or something when we're out, because it's me who's in the panic, so I can't really relax. But it's because he wants to spend every moment with him.
So, Reena, you've had, quite a challenging journey to become a mom.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know what it was like for you, Nisha, but I know that you, Reena, have been quite open about your challenges and miscarriage and stuff. And I thought I saw this a news article about you the other day as well. So if people aren't aware, can you just like give a little bit of a background about it?
Yeah. So we've been married nearly 9 years this year, and obviously it took us a very long time to have our baby. I suffered quite a lot of, in short, I suffered 5 miscarriages, and then there was a period where I didn't get pregnant, so we tried IVF a couple of times, didn't even get pregnant, and couldn't really fathom why I hadn't got pregnant using IVF. Like, I got pregnant naturally before that 3 times, why not IVF? Then even after the IVF failed, I got pregnant a couple of times but lost the baby, and then got pregnant in March 2021 with Milan, and that's our sort of rainbow baby. So it's been a long, it took us 7-8 years to get to where we are, but that came with a lot of stress. And it did mean that my husband were very sociable, went on holidays and did a lot together, but it was actually just to mask our pain, I think, when I think about it, or it was just to keep our minds occupied. Every time I'd have a miscarriage, it'd be like, oh, let's go on holiday, or every time I was going through some treatment, let's go away, like mentally get prepared and not have, just be in our own little bubble for a bit, so we could just focus on each other. So but I think what's happened, following on from that, I carried so much anxiety for so many years that didn't realize that I would carry it through to being a new mum. The anxiety that I've had since having Milan it kind of just all erupted at some point. And sometimes that anxiousness has traveled with me even throughout being a new mum. And I panic about and I know new mums panic, but my anxiety sometimes gets the better of me, and I have to just switch off or go for a walk and just think, actually, I can do this. I'm not doing a bad job, because motherhood's not a bed of roses. It's not all perfect. It's beautiful, but there's parts of it that are really hard. And I think all that anxiety I carried for years has traveled with me a little bit.
Yeah. Well, but Reena, I think you need to give yourself a break on that as well, because that, going through that emotional turmoil for years and years, I would imagine that would be quite difficult to then just switch off when you have a baby and, So just give yourself a bit of grace on that, I think. Do you guys think that you are different moms to the moms that you expected that you would be?
Yeah.
Do you think in what way? Like stricter or more organized or what?
Firstly, I wasn't ready to be a mum. I didn't know when I was pregnant with Jasmine, and I was in India at my little sister's wedding, and I didn't know I was pregnant, and I had a really tight gown thing on, and I went to the night before Rukka, the chunni ceremony, and I was like, Mum, I just want to go back to my hotel. And she's like, oh, this because there's no Wi-Fi here and you want to use your Wi-Fi. I'm like, no, I just want to go to the hotel room. Anyway, flew back to London and found out I was pregnant, and I was just like, oh my God, like, again my life, or I wasn't ready for it. So when I had Jasmine, it's like I don't know, because our moms were very, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. I mean, she did work in between in the years, but she wasn't a career woman. She was a mom of three. And with Jasmine, I think now, so somebody said to me the other day, you're not mum and daughter, you're like sisters. And
She
actually,
is a
come to
mini
think of
you.
it, we are like sisters. Yeah, like we'll argue, I'll tell her off, I'll discipline her, we'll have fun. Like at 6 o'clock when they're a bit bored and it's not bedtime, I'll put some music on and just dance with them in the front room. Like we will just bust out Bhangra moves for like an hour, and I'm just like, get tired so you can go to bed. But
Yeah.
we'll do that. Like, and I think I'm strict and I'm disciplined, but I don't want to pass on my traumas to my children, and I'm very, very conscious of that. So it's not my mum's always right. If Jasmine has a valid point, and she's like, an incident happened where I gave a bag of sweets that she'd bought from Mazda to her friend. We went there for play dates. So I put it in like a goodie bag, and she saw it at the house. And she goes, "That's mine." And I said, "Doesn't matter, Jasmine. I'll buy you another one." No, it's mine. So obviously the child's mom gave the sweets back to Jasmine. Said, "Oh, it's okay. You can have them back." Obviously, I got in the car and I was like, "What was that?" Like, it's a bag of sweets. Really annoyed. Anyway, I was really annoyed. I didn't speak to her. I gave her a dinner. Had a dinner. And then she goes to me, "I want to go to the toilet." So I was standing with her, waiting for her, and I wasn't speaking to her. And she goes to me, like an adult, and this is a 4-year-old, she goes, "Actually, that was my bag of sweets. I bought that yesterday from Mazda. You can't give my things to other people without asking me."
She's valid.
It's a fair point. That is a fair point.
Fair point.
And I said, okay, I'm sorry, because I think any other parent, if I passed on my traumas, it was like, I'm right because I'm the mom. So no, I'll give your sweets to whoever I want. And I said, "You know what, Jasmine? Okay." And she was like, "Yeah." She's like, "If you want to buy her sweets, go back to Asda and buy her more." But they were mine. And I said, "Fine." And sometimes I feel I'm really conscious of having that balance where, yeah, I'm a mom and yes, I'm your parent, but you also have to have an opinion and be valid on your opinion so you can display that to me, because I think that communication in a child is really important, because as she goes on in life, she's going to need her points to be heard, So I bow down a lot to the kids if they've got valid points. Yuvi's obviously too small. But there's just lots of things as a mother that I just think we see every day, don't we? And your kids just astound you sometimes. You're just like, what are you saying, you little person? Like, you're 4, but you speak like an adult, and you have to hear them. And I'm really conscious of not hearing her.
Yeah.
I think that's really good.
That is really nice. That is really nice. I like that. And I myself, like, like how we were brought up, you told what to do and stuff, and you might get like a beard if you like get kick off or whatever, so you don't. And I never felt bad about anything like that, because everything came from a place of love, and we were loved and whatever. But I have, I've said to myself, if I need to apologize to my kids, I will, and I have done. For example, if I've been a bit snappy and shouty and stuff, and then like, "Oh, you're being a bit mean," and I have been like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'll try and do better. I am sorry, and that's not okay." Whereas I think we didn't have, it was just like, "No, sorry, what am I saying sorry to you for?" Do you know what I mean?
I don't think our parents ever would say sorry to us. I mean, my mum is a softie. I think maybe she would. I mean, she says sorry to Jasmine all the time if she's told her off, and my mum doesn't ever tell her off. But if she's ever said, "Jasmine, be quiet," or "Jasmine, let me handle your fridge and I'll come back to you," she'll ring me and she'll be like, "I told her off today and I felt so bad." Oh, they used to tell me off all the time. You never felt bad then. Like, and now you feel bad when you tell off my daughter, like, "Oh, I feel so guilty today. I had to say something to her." But she's, I think being a different mom in today's generation is we're balancing a lot. There's a lot of stress, and like Reena said, there's a lot of anxieties from your younger years or things that you've grown up seeing, not from your family, maybe outer circle friends, and you want to make sure you can protect your kids. And yeah, I mean, some people might say, "Oh, Jasmine's a little bit too much sass, and she gets everything she wants." But if I can give my child everything she wants, I'll do it. I won't. There's not going to be a balance there, but yeah, it's different with each child as well. I think Milan might be different. I mean, you've got 3,
Yes.
so your 3 girls are probably
They're different.
They're probably 3 different people.
Honestly, like the stuff that they come out with, when you think, "Oh, I've got it figured out," all the random like nakkare that anybody could do, I know now. It's all figured out. We've been through this. And with the third one, it's like she will astound me with new nakare that I've never even thought of. You know what I mean? It's like, what? Like the other day, I mean, she actually wrote, she came back from school. She's like, oh, I've got Asperger's syndrome. I have. She hasn't, by the way. She has not. But they'd learned about it at school. Oh, I've got Asperger's. Yeah, this is what I've got. Okay, I don't really have. Wrote a letter to her teacher. Dear Mrs. So-and-so, I have Asperger's syndrome, so sometimes I may go mute. Lots of love, gave the letter to the teacher, had to go in and have a meeting about it all and stuff.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my
She's 6 years
God.
old, by the way. So do you know what I mean? It's like,
And she's 6.
yeah. So
Oh my God.
honestly, every day is
I've got all
some.
this to come yet, haven't I?
You have. I was in A&E on Monday night, right? I was in A&E because one of my kids threw accidentally, by the way, threw a pencil at the little one's eye.
Oh,
Oh God.
Yeah, scratched across the eyeball. So that was unexpected and a bit, so there's just there's something all the time. There's something
I
all the time.
remember.
It's never a
remember.
dull moment in this house. There never is. But I am loving. It's also very fun. Like it's chaos, right?
Mm.
And everyone's got their own little opinions and issues and stuff. But I say to them, I say, girls, you know what? There's never a dull moment with you, and I actually love it because there isn't, and they're very, they're quirky, they're lively, they're funny, and it is like you can have a laugh with them and stuff as well, and it's really nice, and it's Ronak, and I wanted that, and I did want that. I
Yeah.
don't think I realized how much work the Ronak would be. I think I thought of it from the kids' point of view, like, oh, it'd be so fun to have 3 kids, so much fun, and I didn't think as a
That was
mom.
your Britney voice.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Britney. I love Britney.
I love Britney voice came on just there. I'm glad she made an appearance.
All of these characters are a part of me. So anyway, and then I didn't realize how much work it would actually involve to manage all of this. It's quite a lot of management. You know what I mean? And I've had to do things like drop my standards in terms of how organized my house is. It's not that organized now because otherwise that's all I'd be doing. And everybody would be very happy for me to do that, to pick up after everybody, and I'm not doing it. So it's like, you know what I mean? Now I'm like, oh, you're going to need to help me and stuff like that. And obviously that they do it to their standard, and it's like, but you can't be like, oh, that's really rubbish what you do. You have to actually, oh, okay, great, you tried your best to clean the bathroom, and that's nice and whatever, and just let them be and let them learn. So yeah, what would you think about this well, I'm going to say trend because it is a trend, but gentle parenting, and you see a lot of it on social media as well, like, oh, it's all about gentle parenting. No, we mustn't tell anyone off, they're going to have trauma for the rest of their lives, generational trauma, they'll be in therapy. What's your view on it all?
So going back to being like a parent, I feel I'm going to just put it out there. I feel like I'm morphing into my mother, like literally. I say things to Milan and I'm like, oh my God, I sound like my mum. I hum these tunes and sing these songs, and the things that my mum used to do, and I used to tell her off for doing it. So I do feel like I'm morphing it. And my mum was a businesswoman when we were kids, so she worked really hard, and she's very strong and independent and confident, but she was very strict. So, and I think sometimes even when, like, not that I shout at Milan because he's too little for me to shout at him or tell him off about things, but if I'm trying to be a little bit firm about something, in my head I'm thinking, oh my God, I sound like my mother. So on that, but when you're talking about the gentle parenting, that's my sister. She's very much into gentle parenting, not shouting and not using certain phrases when you're telling off your kids. But yeah, my sister's she's very much like that. She's very holistic with everything that she does anyway. So she does tell me about things, and she's like, oh, when you want to do this, do that. And I'm like, no, that's not going to work for me. I just have to be direct. I just have to sort it out. And I think for some people it works. And I can see how it works, but you need a lot of resilience and masses and masses of patience to do that. Patience isn't something that comes naturally to me. Motherhood has taught me about patience. I'm very one person in front of me in a queue is too much of a queue for me. I don't have patience. But I think I can see how some people like it and it might work for them, but I don't think it's for me. I need to just get moving and get things done, and I want to, like, I haven't got the patience to do all that.
I mean, it is hard, like when you're like, we're going to be late for the school run, and you want to randomly last minute, instead of putting your shoes and coat on, you want to like start like getting pens and pencils and things out, like that doesn't
All
make
the
any
time.
sense. You know what I mean? And it's like,
I'm so
and
glad
it's
that's not
always a
just my
last
kid.
minute. No, it's always a last minute. Like, we're going swimming lesson. Oh, I suddenly need this. And it's like, do you know what? If I had half an hour to sit here and be like, why do you feel this way? I understand that you want to be creative
It's
right
okay
now.
if you want
But,
purple pens today. It's like,
yeah, I
yeah,
understand.
no.
I love it too. Shall we talk about it? It's like, no, because the world will pass us by.
I've got
You
time
won't
to talk
understand.
about it.
Yeah, no, I know. And it's difficult. So
It's just difficult. I'm just not a gentle parent. I would say I'm just not. It won't be me. I think everyone in my family knows it won't be. I think everyone who knows me knows it won't be me. I will be patient when I have to be. But if you've got I put my kids' school shoes and coats on at 8 o'clock, and they
right,
have to sit there for 45 minutes and they're ready. But within that 45 minutes, they still will take their shoes and coat off 15 times. Jasmine will still need to go to the toilet at 8:30. We need to be out by 8:40. And then, like, she doesn't want to use the downstairs toilet because she doesn't like the ceiling. So she wants to go to the upstairs one, but she doesn't know how to open the stair gate. So it's in all of this, I'm not going to say, so let's discuss why you don't like the bathroom ceiling downstairs. It will just be like, but you got 2 minutes left, like, you know.
Yeah.
And that's how but the lives that we lead are so busy. I don't think I could be I'd love to see Priya and how she speaks to Noor. I would love it, because
we're not allowed to. She
wish
doesn't like
I could
using
be
words like
that.
naughty. She doesn't like using words like bad. I think sometimes she does. She doesn't do it full on, but there are things where she wants to like talk to her about it, and I'm thinking, just tell her she can't have it. Just tell her she can't have it. And she's like, no, I need to, like, you know. And I'm like, okay, that's your way of doing it. But Priya's very nurturing, and she's got such a sensitive soul anyway, that you know, she does try. But then, you know, my mom looks after her when Priya's at work, and my mom's very different. So then I leave it to them to debate on how they're parenting both of her.
and you see, like with me, like, so my kids are the oldest one's going to be 14 soon, right? So then I've got a 12-year-old and a 6-year-old, and you know, like, you know, so I'm in the next phase from you guys, right? Well, kind of still there because I've got a 6-year-old, but it's this gentle parenting and all this kind of stuff. Like, now I'm, you know, it's coming to like, oh, you know, I have this problem at school or with my friend, or we're having a fight or whatever, or arguments between them. And there's a certain point to which I am like, oh, you know what? Yeah, let's talk about your feelings, because this is another thing which is quite now, oh, feelings, no, we can't hurt anyone's feelings, or we need to listen and all this. Great, right? So there's a point where I'm like, oh, you know what? It's okay. Tell me all about it. And then there's a point where I'm like, you need to actually like get it together, because this world is going to eat you up, right? If you're like, oh no, you know, I'm so sad, I'm going to just sit here, you know, really sad for ages because someone said this. I'm like, I get to a point where it's like, no. Now you've got to be tough. I'm sorry, I've listened to you. Have a little cry, great. And now get your shit together. So that's the kind of mom I am, because I'm just like, I can at a point listen to you, but then it's like, you need to get your shit together.
But that's good in a sense, because I think that's different to the whole nurturing thing. You're hearing your child out and you're hearing what's upsetting them. And I think that's so important. But yeah, telling them how to deal with it, because young people have got a really hard time nowadays. Like the stresses and stuff that young people are going through. I don't remember going through that when I was at school or when I was a child. You know, there's so much peer pressure, and I sound really old and ancient now. And technology is is all about it's the way we're doing our interview now. But I think technology has a lot to blame for it, and social media. It's just so many pressures on young people, and so motherhood becomes so much harder as well, because you're dealing with all these external factors as well.
I mean, I don't want to talk too much about it to scare you ladies, but you've got that to come, that whole, you know, my kid wants a phone, social media, all this stuff. You know, I'm very much in that now, and to manage that is another job in itself, to manage all of that.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that part.
No, it's not nice.
You know, the older they get, like Jasmine will come home and twice she's had a meltdown, like, this girl's not speaking to me and that girl's not speaking to me, and I'm like, it's just going to get more and more, like, as you know, as the years get on and you get older. And it's like, I remember once in a restaurant someone said to me, I was like, does it get easier? She was like, it's just going to get difficult on a different level. And actually her words were so true, because I've the baby age, the toddler age, everything's hard, right? And then now at 4, it's like her, or 5 even she's going to be. So it's like it's a different stage, and then at 10 it's a different stage. At 4, so you'll never not. I mean, my parents are still sorting stuff out for me at the age of like nearly 40.
same.
So I think, your parents are still your go-to, and they're your lifelines, aren't they? And they'll always be there for you, and you'll always be that mom or dad. And that's how I want to be for my kids. Like, I want to be their soundboard. But yeah, I love that, Reena. You've got to just cry and move on. And I wish I was taught that. So I didn't spend years, crying over certain issues in my life. Like, I wish I was just taught to, like, okay, bam, done. I don't want Jasmine to be that emotionally invested person. It's like, yeah, fine. If not, let's move on. I'd love for her to be like that.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure she will be. She sounds like, I've got mad respect for Jasmine already. I tell you that now.
So hi. What a wonderful, strong girl you're raising already.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, she's good.
Awesome.
Hard work.
So Reena, you talked a little bit about, morphing into your mum a little bit. Like, what have you learned from your own mums in terms of what it takes to be a mum, and in terms of what to do and what not to do, maybe?
So I think from my mum, it was being present and being hardworking and providing. I just remember my mum and dad working so hard when we were kids, just to give us everything that we wanted. And that is one of the takeaways that I've definitely got, and my husband have as well, because we just want to do everything we can to give Milan everything, that not make sure he's not spoiled, although I'm sure he will be slightly, but give him the best of life that we had, because we one of the things that my mum and dad were really hot on were having family day outs and us eating together. And those are the things that I want to be able to do. Obviously he's too little at the moment, but that's why we take him everywhere, and that's one of the things that I do a lot. But I think also my mum and dad were so busy working, there were times when they weren't present. I remember, and I talk about this with my mum, I remember having a school play, and I can't remember what I was doing, probably being a star or something, I don't know. And I was looking out into the audience, and I knew my mum and dad my mum couldn't make it because they were working, but I thought she might surprise me or be there, and she wasn't there. And it would really hurt me because all my friends, their parents were there, but my mum couldn't be there because she was working, they had a business. So those are the things that, for me, I hold in my head, and I think, actually, I don't want to be like that, because if my son has got a play or something that's really important to him, I want to be present, because I know how I felt at that time. And it wasn't because she was doing it on purpose. It was, she had no choice. They had a business.
Yeah. So yeah, it is lessons there for you, right? So what to do and what you don't want to do. And Nisha, what about you?
My mum was a provider. There's 3 of us. She was at home, she was there, she was present. Mum's love language was food. So it was like, that there was always hot food ready. Yeah, it's like the food was always ready, the house was always clean, the beds were always made in the morning, the uniforms were always laid out. So I think definitely the level of cleanliness, the food, the fresh, that's the pressure I put on myself for my kids, because I had it from my mum. So it's like, as soon as Jasmine gets home, there's hot food at 4 o'clock, then there's dinner at 6 o'clock or 5:30. So I put that pressure on me because it's come from my mum, that they always need to have fresh food, they need to have clean bed sheets, they need to have clean clothes, the uniforms are always ironed every morning. So that pressure is definitely from my mum. I think what my mum didn't do with us, and what I do a lot with my children, is chill out. That generation of mums didn't chill. There was always something to do. We lived with our grandparents, so there was always dinner to be made, clothes to be cleaned, something. So I never really had that. I am like very close to my mum, but we never had that time where mum was just sitting and having a cup of coffee and having a laugh and a joke with us. It was constant pressure, I think, on her head for constantly doing things. So I make that extra time where I do just nothing with the kids and just sit with them or play with them. And I don't even watch my TV, like they've got their TV on, but it's a lot. Some of the things that I feel that I didn't get that time to bond with my mum and have, like, I think the first time she went to a hair salon was when I was living in London, like 15 years ago. She'd never got a haircut from like a proper hair salon.
Right.
She probably went to like the auntie down the road who like cut it for a £5. But you know, she wasn't that high maintenance woman. She was a very simple, honest mum. She was just one, my friends used to come home and she'd cook for all 10 of us or whatever. She was one of those mums when their moms were all at work. So she didn't really demand much. So I've learned to kind of have that little bit of chill or a little bit of fun with the kids. Again, because our generation is different, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I identify with that somewhat because, like, my mom, I feel like the things that I have taken on from her, you know, she is loving and supporting and has been whatever we've chosen to do, whereas my dad more put pressure on us, do this in your life, do that in your life. You know, my mom didn't, she didn't really put that much pressure on us. Maybe my dad was putting it on for both of them, for both. Yeah. So she just, you know, encouraged our aspirations. She encouraged us to be creative. She used to do creative things with us as well, because she used to make like batik paintings, this and that, and she's Bharatanatyam dancing, like all this stuff. She's quite creative, so I really like that. Yeah, so basically that's what I learned, but I feel like she didn't joke around with us that much and chill. So yeah, I identify with that, and I try and do that with my kids as well. Just more chilling and joking around. But ladies, I know you got to go now. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for just sharing everything that you've shared today, and I hope you have a lovely, lovely Mother's Day. Put time for some self-care. If nobody spoils you, which they should, spoil yourselves. Yeah, but thank you.
And thank you for
Happy
joining.
Mother's
You too.
Day.
Have a lovely Happy Mother's Day. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.